Well, have you ever experienced total darkness? I mean, the darkness where you cannot find any kind of light at all. Have you? When?
I was in a really dark room once.
Dark room.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that cannot be total darkness. Let me tell you a story. When these two guys are very young, we brought them to a cave in Tennessee, state of Tennessee. I forgot the name of that cave. And when we went there, the guide brought us very deep into the cave and asked us the same question: have you ever experienced the total darkness? Then he turned out the light that is installed inside the cave, right? Then he turned out the flashlight he had. Then he told us, this is the total darkness. Well, I think that was the first time that I have ever experienced the real, total, 100% darkness. There was no light at all. I tried to open my eyes very wide to test whether I can see anything, but I cannot see anything, right? So when I think about the situation of us, sinners, are just like that. We believe we are able to see something. We believe there are some kinds of light out there, but as I am now living a little more than 60 years so far, I believe there is kind of fantasy we all have. This is just like the total darkness. And maybe some of you can ask me, well, there are many kinds of lights in this world, right? Okay, I can understand that, but if we compare this situation in the cave, for example, and let's say there is a light like a bandipul. How do you call that? Firefly. Firefly. Okay, let's imagine that in that total darkness, there came one firefly. Okay? Then we can say there's a light. Of course, it's totally different, This total darkness and the darkness where we can find just one, firefly, bandipul. This darkness and this darkness are totally different. I accept that. But for how long that bandipul can last? Tell me. That light is very temporary, right? So we cannot say it's legitimate light, I believe. So you cannot come out of that cave with that help of that kind of small light at all. This bulb will die very, very soon. So it's temporary. It is not a real light, And let's say this guy has this flashlight, right? And we have this light, or the fixtures, all kinds of electric lights in the cave. Well, we have these kinds of lights, of course. Our world have such lights a lot, actually. Neon signs out there, televisions, and the lights of the automobiles. All kinds of lights we have in this world, but I do not think they are kind of real light that can lead us to come out of that cave, the total darkness. Because these kinds of lights are all like that 반딧불. It's very temporary, no matter what, and it cannot last for a long time. The electrics will go out, right? For example, all kinds of, wonderful, decorative lights do not exist if they do not have this electric supply. All kinds of lights in this world are very temporary. They are not real light. So when you live this world, depending on that kind of light, just like 반딧불, firefly. Yeah, those are just like firefly. Don't forget. That kind of light cannot save you. It's impossible. Because it cannot last. For a while, okay, but not for real, life. So the problem happens when you have this kind of fantasy into whatever light you believe that is true light, which is not actually. Then you begin to, disappointed. Well, I thought that light was real light. In fact, that was not. Okay? So, as I live longer and longer, I believe for your true happiness and joy and peace of your mind and your true self, you need some light that actually lasts. Right? Okay? It is very important because all kinds of problems come from that kind of fantasy and false conviction or faith into something you believe that is the light I can trust or I can depend on, which is not actually. So you will be very disappointed, and that's the situation of the sinners, including myself and you. And in this kind of situation, now Isaiah is saying, the people walking in darkness have seen a great light. What kind of light is this, you think? The people have seen the light in the deep darkness as a light has dawned. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given. 흑암에 행하던 백성이 큰 빛을 보고 사망의 그늘질 땅에 거주하던 자에게 빛이 비추도다. 이는 한 아이가 우리에게 낳고 한 아들을 우리에게 주신 바 되었는데 그 어깨에는 정사를 메었고 그의 이름은 기묘자라 모사라 전능하신 하나님이라 영존하시는 아버지라. 영존하시는, okay? Everlasting. Pay attention to this word, everlasting, right? This is kind of a light that cannot be the same as 반딧불 or flashlight or other lights in this world, electric light, whatever. Those lights are pretty artificial, temporary, false, So if you want to have a really, really blessed life, having this kind of true happiness, everlasting happiness instead of very temporary, shaking kind of false happiness or, that kind of things. There are many, many things like this, But if you really, really, really want to have happiness that lasts, then you need to depend on the light that can really last, everlasting. Now you can realize what I am talking about. This is about this baby, This is a special kind of light that came from God, everlasting. The love that does not fail, the grace that is so abundant, so deep, and true care we cannot even compare with the care of our own parents, mom, dad. We cannot even compare. So if you really, really, really want to live a life with true happiness, lasting happiness, which is not very short kind of happiness, you need to depend on this kind of light. Meaning, don't be faked by some kind of light that is very, very shallow, cannot last. So I'm telling you, God has given us this kind of light today with this baby named Jesus Christ. And we are so blessed because now we have this light, which is not temporary, which will shine forever, that can lead us out of that darkness. Right? So, in the text of the Matthew, we see these people from the east came, and they found that light, little star. And that was also the story about this light that is a little different from the light that we are seeing in our ordinary life. So my prayer for each one of you, especially our children, your life is so precious and you need this light. Don't tempt it by any other light in this world. That's not worthy enough to depend on. Trust me. Don't trust in that kind of light. Even when they are insisting I am light, that is not true. There is no light like that in this world. We human beings, we all sinners, are not able to shine like that. Any thoughts, any theories, anything in this world cannot be that kind of light that can actually last. It must be some light from the source which is everlasting, as we see in the light of this special baby who is born today. And now the reason we are here tonight is to remember and pay attention to that true light and learn from that light and work together with that light in this darkness. This world is so dark, very, very dark, and it is getting more dark, darker and darker. And you are living in an era which is pretty different from the time that your mom, your dad were growing, actually. getting darker. Trust me. So think about this light and trust this light. And this light can make you really happy because this light is actually able to last. Very different from other lights. Okay? Very good. Okay. 우리 같이 찬양합시다. Remembering this baby.
귀하신 예수를 나 사랑하니 새날이 밝도록 함께하소서. 주 예수 내 곁에 가까이 계셔 그 한없는 사랑 세상 악인을 다 품어주사 주 품 안에 안겨 살게 하소서. 아멘.
Gracious God, thank you so much for sending this true light. We are so grateful that now we have the light we can truly trust, follow, and be taught and be guided. Even in the total darkness of the sinfulness and all kinds of problems in this world. Now we are living in this scary place where the all kinds of sinfulness are pretending as if they are light and help us, especially our children, not to be tempted and confused by that kind of false light in this sinful world, but follow you, Jesus Christ, the revelation of the true light from God our Father, and help our children to live this precious life with the true joy and happiness and everlasting happiness and love and care for self, others, and God, following the footsteps of this great person we find in Jesus Christ, where we find you and your love and care. And tonight we are so grateful because you are with us with the grace as you promised in the form of everlasting love and grace and care for us. 지금은 우리 주 예수 그리스도의 은혜와 아버지 하나님의 사랑과 성령의 교통하심이 사랑하는 우리 겨자씨 가족들, HST 가족들, 또 우리 친구들 위해 지금부터 영원토록 함께 하시옵기를 간절히 축원하옵나이다. 아멘.
So to wrap up, we're gonna do a gift exchange. And when we think of the light that 목사님 mentioned, we would think he would be treated like a king upon his arrival. But in fact, he had no place to be welcomed, and he was born and placed on a manger in a barn. But at least 3 people thought he was deserving of some gifts. Those are the 3 wise men who came to worship him. And in honor of that, we want to give baby Jesus our own gifts, but he's not here physically. So we are going to instead give gifts to each other. So that is going to be now that